And a warm welcome to you, my friends. It is going to be episode 15 of Boat Extras. It's November the 14th and it's a Friday. And I've got to do some work, and I'm just round here at the side of the boat because I mentioned to you that those were bowed and they weren't very flat. And I looked on YouTube, and as I said, if you put them on damp floors, they end up being flat. And that one definitely is flat. That one moved slightly. So, I think they're a goer. I think I'm going to give those a sand down. Rather a boring job for you guys, I know. But it's got to be done. So that's going to be the first job of the day. So let's go on board and have a look at... In fact, we might not need to go aboard. We could just go up the ladder and have a look at... They're not bad at all. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Definitely need to do another coat of those two strips, but yeah, okay, that's a starter for 10. So as I said, I need to do that, and I need to do that area. That also needs doing. That's another job for today. I need to, well, it might not be today, but I need to get that done. That needs to be a proper sealed unit, so I need to find the new screw-in top that I bought. I'm obviously going to have to make good that hole, and it has to be satisfactory, so that's a task for today as well. Quite boring jobs for you to watch, I'm afraid, but you won't have to watch it all. You'll just see me going through stage by stage, so I shall try and keep it to well, sort of entertaining, if you know what I mean. Right, I'll get all my ducks in a row, and I will see you when I've started some work. Until then, I'll see you shortly. Okay, just a little update. So I've sanded the first one down. I had to actually trim it on the side because for some reason they've grown as well, so they didn't actually fit in the in the recess. So I've taken it down as far as I really need to, because don't forget, these aren't going to be seen. And I filled up some of the areas where there was quite a bit of damage. This is the top bit that I've sanded down, but as you can see, you know, it's quite scarred, and I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm just going to sand it down and then stain it, and then maybe varnish these. Because you won't see the underneath. So that one I'm going to allow to dry, and I'm going to tackle that one. So that's where I'm up to. So I just thought I'd let you know. Okay, so I'll give you an update. Don't ask me why that one is darker than that one. That must have been sun bleach for some reason. I have no idea. Anyway, that one's pretty well, that's quite damaged at that end, so it's had to be filled, and the ply was coming adrift there, so I've had to re-glue that into position. So I've had another idea. I did have some waste of some thin oak ply, and I think a decision has been made for me. I know it's been extra work, but I just think for everything else that looks really good, I just think doing that, refacing these two, just would make it right. So I've taken the liberty of cutting 2 pieces of ply. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think they're going to get stuck to that. Now it has raised by whatever the thickness of the ply is above this, but that has made me now make a decision on what I'm going to do with that. I've never been totally happy with it. I didn't want to paint it, So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some flooring down all the way around so it all matches. I'm going to use heavy duty vinyl, obviously because it was my ex-trade. I can certainly get hold of a source of in fact I think I've got some waste vinyl somewhere down there somewhere. I can use that, so that's all going to get covered and then it will look nice and I won't have to paint it. So there we go. So they're going to get glued. I can't glue that one because it's heavily filled underneath, but this one can be glued and pinned, and then I can stain that up. Well, I'm going to have to router it with my new favourite tool. I'm going to have to get that done, but I'm going to have to concentrate on this now. This. So this piece here, I didn't cut this, I have to say. This was already cut by somebody and then they obviously sandwiched it somehow. I don't quite know what they did. I think that, oh yeah, that was on the top. So that was there like so, and that was screwed to the top like that. Now I don't think that's very satisfactory, so I'm debating whether I should re-fiberglass that back into place, because at the end of the day it's fiberglassed on the back so water won't damage it in any way. It's a snug fit. I could sand it so it's nice and smooth and flat. I've just got to figure out how I keep that. I'd have to put a brace over it to stop it from going down. But I think possibly that might be a good idea. The only thing I've got of a concern is this hole here. Now I did buy a new thing to go in there, but typically I can't find it. It's got to be on this boat, it's got to be inside here. I wouldn't really put it anywhere else, to be honest, but I'll find that. You don't need to follow me around doing that. So that's the job I've got to tackle next, I think, because I want to get that end finished. So that's the update. I'll crack on and I will see you when I've had some sort of success. See you later. Right, okay, so I've got an idea for this water tank. This is such a snug fit. I think I'm going to attempt to put that back into place. Now I figured out why that big round one was on the top. It was stuck to this to give this support. Obviously there's no strength in it because you can't get into the tank to fiberglass it from underneath because there's no room through that hole. So I'm going to have to come up with another idea in order to use this but to also keep it flush. So I have spare rubbing straights. I've got quite a few waste strips. So I'm thinking, okay, this is definitely going to last a long time. So if I cut this into larger sections, maybe just a couple, I could then fiberglass that into place, drill through the top so it sandwiches the fiberglass, and then that then becomes a support for that. I can then fiberglass this into place around the edge and underneath, and then we've got a permanent solid structure. And then I found the box with, of course, the new cap, and then I could make, obviously this is all going to get cleaned up now, but that would then fit in there like so, and then we've got a nice, well, we've got a nice watertight situation whereby that is then fixed into place. So that is what I'm going to go with. But before I do any of that, I'm going to put this one, I'm going to glue and pin this into place. But of course, you don't need to see that, do you? Because you've already seen me do stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do. But I think that's a really good idea because I've got some waste. It's hardwood. It's designed to not rot. So I think that's what I'm going to use. I can stain it, I can, you know, give it a coat of whatever, and then I can then stick it underneath. So that's the plan of action. You stopped on your own then. I don't know why, but you did. Anyway, see you shortly. Right, so what I've done with this piece is I've given it a skim of filler just to level it all out. This is the underside, so that I'm going to leave that for at least, well, it's Friday today. I'm not here tomorrow or Sunday, but it'll be Monday, so that'll give it a good time to harden off. So that's what we're going to do for now, is leave that. The other one is glued and pinned there. The other one, as you know, I can't do anything with because the filler hasn't gone off on one of the sides, so we can't do anything with that. So that's it. We are getting a storm at the moment, so I think I don't know what time it is for me. It is 4:15, so I think probably I'll wrap it up for today, and I shall leave it now till Monday, and then we will carry on. Oh, I'll tell you what I will do is I will, before I go, I will give all those another coat of stain. That's what I'll do, and I'll show you that before I leave. So I'll go up there now and do that. Okay, so I've given the reverse side of those their first coat because they didn't have one, so they got their first coat. These have had their third coat, so they're toned beautifully now, and that is virtually invisible, so that's exactly what we wanted to see. I think those, once they are completely done, I think one more coat and then we'll go on to the clear, which gives it the satin finish. I think that'll all look good. So there you have it. So on that note, I will see you on Monday, and we'll take it from there. So I was going to say have a good weekend, but you won't see it till after weekend anyway. Right, okay, see you Monday. Bye. And a warm, well, it's not warm. I can tell you now, it's not warm in here. It's freezing. It's lovely out there, blue sky for once, but it's chuffing freezing. You know it's winter. You know it's coming in. It's a biting wind, and when you haven't got as much coverage on one's body as you used to, you know you have to layer up. Anyway, what am I doing today? It is Monday, the 17th of November. Is it? Yes, it is. I missed the weekend, of course. I had to do stuff, as you do in normal life. So what am I doing today? Yes, well, I think I'm going to be very dusty today. That's what I think. That is as rock solid now. As you know, only a minute to go on video because it'll be spliced in. That's what I did. I coated it in some filler and it's rock solid. Looks like one of those biscuits, you know, like Burton's. Is it Burton biscuits? Where it's like icing and pink and stuff. You know what I mean? Does, doesn't it? Anyway, I've got to sand that down. See what that looks like. Also, I think I'm going to have to do a bit of trimmage to the hatch, which I think is probably up there. and I think I've got to stick one more piece of ply to the other side. So there is a bit of work to do today. Yes, indeed. Right, I've warmed myself up by doing a bit of manual sanding, and as you can see, I've knocked that back a bit. Looks a damn sight better than it did. Looks a bit like that, really. And there was quite a few divots in it. I don't know whether I can show you, but it doesn't have to be a concourse thing because it's a boat. You know, it's not a car. But you can I don't know whether you can just about see the gap. Does it show the gap? Yeah, it does. So it clearly dips in the center. So I think I'm going to put a skim there, just on that center section. The hole isn't correct at the moment, we know that, but that's going to get freshly drilled. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to fill that area and allow it to build up and go hard. And then maybe tomorrow, subject to how it dries, it might dry today, I don't know, it's that cold, it might dry. And then I will knock it back again, and then we'll have a look. Like I say, I'm not looking for perfection and absolute flatness, because none of that is. And then we can move on to the next step with that one. So that's what I'm going to do. See you in a minute. I just used a little bit more hardener than I normally would do, purely because of the weather, and I want it to, well, I want to try and get it hard today, so therefore I can then obviously rub it down. Need an even colour with it. You don't want any red showing through, you want it to completely go, well, in this case, grey. Don't want any red showing through at all. Otherwise you'll end up with like it's like a sticky, it's like sticky, like it's not it's not got into the filler itself. So the object is I'm trying to have a thin coat on the edge and more of a thick coat. So I'm going to put the filler on and then angle it, so then there's more filler on this edge than there is on that edge, and then just keep going around till I can visually see a half decent finish, because the more filler you put on, the more sanding you have to. I don't know why it cut off on that last bit, but anyway, there you go. What I was trying to say is, the more filler you put on, the more sanding you have to do. So there we go. Right, we'll leave that. So there we are. That's one of them. So that needs some attention now around the edge. So I think that's going to be my next job. And also the pins that I used actually pushed through. Can you see? Because I didn't have some really small pins, so I need to get my grinder and just grind them off. So that's a job that you don't need to see, but I'm going to crack on with that, and well, when I find something else to do, I'll of course let you know. I don't know why it cut off on that last bit, but anyway, there you go. What I was trying to say is, the more filler you put on, the more sanding you have to do. So there we go. Right, we'll leave that. So there we are. That's one of them. So that needs some attention now around the edge. So I think that's going to be my next job. And also, the pins that I used actually pushed through. Can you see? Because I didn't have some really small pins, so I need to get my grinder and just grind them off. So that's a job that you don't need to see, but I'm going to crack on with that, and well, when I find something else to do, I'll of course let you know. Welcome back. I've put a hat on. It's chilly. It's even more chilly than it was when I said it was chilly. Right, yes, so the other one, as I said, I've sanded this back down, and where it was filled I've sanded all that, so that is now ready for a bit of glue, and I'm going to put that one in its place and then pin it, and then put some claws all the way around to make sure nothing curls, because this ply does want to curl upwards, so I'll have to face it downwards and then leave it overnight. So I'm going to do that now, and I don't forget. So I just thought I'd share that with you. Obviously, you don't need to see me gluing everything, because you've seen it on the last one. So I will do that and then pin it. I'm going to have to use the same pins as I used the other one, but I used the grinder on the other one. It was perfect. It just zip them all off, so it's nice and smooth. So I'm cool with that, the fact that these are a tad longer than they should be. So I'm going to do that now, and then, well, we'll move on to another one. Okie dokie. Right, just a quick update. Apart from having my homemade soup, look at that, proper tomato and basil. Ooh, you need it on a day like today. I've routed all the edges now. They're all nicely done. And around there, I'm now just going to give it a quick stain over, so you'll see that when it's done. See you in a minute. Right guys, there we go. I've given that one big decent coat, so that's now covered. The other side, of course, is just as it was, so we'll give that a coat tomorrow, because this is obviously going to be the top. Moving forward, that is pins. Actually, no, I need to route the edges. Oh, I forgot to say, that's drying as we speak. These edges, I've used my favourite tool, which is a router, so that's all nicely done. It's actually doesn't look too bad on the sides, does it? So yeah, no, I'm pleased with that. That's good. Up here in the boat, I don't know whether you can see it because the lights are off. No, you can't. But you can see I've taken all the masking tape off, and everything looks good. I'm really pleased with the those small pieces. They've turned out really well, and because they're so thin, you don't see it from the side, so it's actually worked really well. That one there is slightly higher than this one is, and I think I need to take some off the top of that which I will show you in tomorrow's workings, because I'm going to call it a day now. So I will see you tomorrow, all being well, and we'll take it from there. So until then, have a good evening, and I'll see you later. Okay, so I've been up there and I just thought I'd just try that in the hole, and although I made a terrific job of that, though I say it myself, when I put it in the hole, unfortunately, it doesn't sit right. It actually, part of it is raised, and I don't know whether you can see, but the thickness of this obviously isn't uniformed. So consequently, when you put it in the hole, the closest you can get it, you know, it's too fat. Again, you're getting a fat bit next to a thin bit, and it doesn't sit right. And unfortunately, the best side that fits flush is the side that I haven't done. So I'm going to have to use that side. I'm not going to fill this because I've tried it, and actually what I will do is, when it's in situ, I'm going to fiberglass across the two areas where this and the actual boat frame itself, I'm going to fiberglass around, because there's obviously a gap, only a very small gap, but I'm going to put some fiberglass around there and I'll sand it, so ultimately that side will be covered anyway. But I've gone and done that side, and actually it's the worst side for being upright, so I'm going to have to go and use that side. There you go. You learn. You should check your work before you start it. Hey, but there you go. That's what that's all about. So now I'm going to just cut this up. I've had this up there as well. I'm going to cut a 10, I think it's 10 centimetre piece times 2. I'm going to drill them, and then I'm going to dry fit them and then stick that in there, and you will see what I mean. So stay tuned. And a warm welcome aboard. Now, this is a dry fit and it's a rough fit, so but it'll show you what I'm thinking in my head. So I'm thinking these two pieces, not necessarily in the right place, but I've just put a screw in each just for now. And this, that way, just wouldn't, it was too high, it was like, it wasn't right. But this way, it's just right. Now, with the cement of my choice, that'll be absolutely flush when I've got it done. So once that's in place, I think once this is properly glued and screwed into place, these, they will actually work absolutely fine. Now, I can't see where somebody would literally put a knee on it and then push it through by the time I finish with it. I don't think that would be the case. But that is the idea that I'm looking for there, because it's pretty flush. It's not going to interfere with anything on the top, whereas before, you know, the original one, somebody had put this thing, it was like that, and you had a huge thing, and it was wrong. So that, I think, is a better scenario than before, because it's nice and flat. You've got a key, you can lift that up. I've got to make sure that there's an actual vent on here, or that pipe, because with it being pressurized, the water being pumped through, that has got to be vented, so then it doesn't implode on itself. So I've got to make sure that that's okay, but I genuinely think that that is what that's for there. I think that is your little breather, so then the air pressure is equal all the way through the system, and it doesn't well, it doesn't implode on itself. I'm sure that's what would probably happen if that was the case, or it would split or something. But that's the general idea. That's what I'm looking for, and I think I'm going to go for that. And I can, obviously, when it's done, finished, I can fiberglass around here, so then that's nice and secure. So first job I need to do is to clean that out. Now Shane did say that I was going to paint all that inside there, and he said, to be honest, if it's just going to be used for well, it's been used since new like that, just clean it all up, and if it's just for washing up and washing hands, etc., then the condition of that is absolutely fine, because ultimately, you know, we are going to use tablets, E. coli tablets and things like that that you would drop in your water. You boat people that have got boats will appreciate that, because you may have a tank in your boat that you want to do that, or you might have a filtration system that does it for you. This is quite a basic system, so there we are. So I'm going to crack on and do this little bit, and you'll be back when I think there's something interesting for you to see. So until then, go and do something. Yes. Right, while I allow those to dry off and get used to their new role in life, and that is staring at water in the dark, I'm going to crack on and do some routing on here, because this is the other one that hasn't been treated, and I would like to get that treated before I leave tonight, as I will treat those again. So I'm going to do a bit of routing. That should cheer me up. Did I tell you I like routing? And it's my new favourite tool. Of course I did. Oh, how do you use that? That's better. So you're going to live on the shelf. Okay. Oh, you'll be back in a minute. I just need to go and get the router. So I was told by a subscriber that the direction the blade goes is the only real direction you should go yourself. So with the handle being, with the trigger being that side, I realised that that obviously is the correct way to do it, as you go that way, like so. And that's what I'm going to stick by doing. Before I used to go backwards, and I'm not doing that anymore. Such a great tool. Don't think I'll ever get over that machine until I find something else. It makes you look, it makes your work look so, makes you look better and more professional, more to the point. It's very true what they say. Get the right tool for the right job. The only trouble is you end up with a warehouse. That's a bit spelchy there, isn't it? Spotted that. I'll have to glue that down or it might come off. I think it might come off in this pass actually. I'm not overly bothered, but hey, we'll go with it, see what happens. a bit, not to worry. Fine. Right, I'll change the bit over because I'm going to do that hole, and that'll be fine. You can just see there, I can click on the... Are you working? Oh, yes. You just see there, it's just broke off there. But it's only a hatch. It's only a hatch. Right. I'll switch you off. Battery's getting a bit low. I'll switch you off and do that hole, and then I will stain it. I just thought I'd show you. I changed the bit to that one with a slight half moon shape, and lowered it not to its fullest extent because I didn't want it to be too harsh, but it just rounded that edge off there and in there, so obviously when you're lifting this lid up, it's not sharp. There's no splinters could ever happen now. It just feels better. So those edges are nice and sort of rounded off. So all that needs for me to do now is to put some of that stain on over there, and then that one, well, that one's complete. Apart from the rear side, but the one that we did last night, I can turn that over and do that and seal that up, and then that's one complete one done. And then tomorrow, no, is it going to be tomorrow? I might have some chores to do tomorrow. No, what do? I do have some chores to do tomorrow, but I might nip down, do it, and then go and do my chores, if you know what I mean, because I'd like to get this on for Thursday if possible. Right, okay, I'll carry on and I'll see you later. Okay, so that one is nicely stained. They do look nice when they're stained, don't they? They look so much more uniformed to match the rest of the boat on the inside. So I'll put that over where the other one is, and I shall sort that one out. So that was one that I stained yesterday. Still is a bit light, so I think it warrants another coat. Which means I can't do the underside because I've had to give this another coat, so that will have to wait till tomorrow. While we're at it, these another coat. These are going to get a sealer coat, like everything that I've stained. They're all going to get a nice sealer coat. Especially these, because like the rubbing straights, they need to be watertight. Whoops, there we go. No, they're not. I haven't done that sound. There we go. Right. So that can is virtually empty. I bought a new one. How much did that cost me? I can't remember. I think that was about £13.50 for 500ml. £13.50 from B&Q. That one. Right. I think everything else that I'm going to be doing now is even more boring than... It's not been a brilliant episode, I understand that, but they're not all going to be exciting, hey. So I'm going to do a bit of tidying up, and if there's anything more exciting to do, then of course I will involve you. Good morning everybody. It is a cold one, and it is Wednesday the 19th of November. I should have been doing my chores as I said last night, but the weather is so nice, cold but nice. I decided the chores can wait till tomorrow. So I'm going to carry on where I left off, and also I wanted to put this episode to bed and try and get it on this week if possible. So I did that. That's turned out rather nice. So the other one's already done, of course. So now what we need to do is turn it over and do something with the rear side of it. Now, it doesn't have to be special. I'm going to cover it so it's an even coat and an even colour, and then it can just get sealed. So I'm not overly bothered about that, but that's going to be my first job. Second job will be its sister. I'm going to do exactly the same to that. So there we go. There's the opener for the morning. Oh. There's the opener for the morning, and I shall start that and warm myself up. See you in a minute. Okay, so that's had a coat. Well, it's actually had two coats. Does make a difference. It just equals the colour out, doesn't it? So you should always finish off with a tissue of some form. Obviously you can get these blue rolls everywhere. And this side is absolutely fine. No need to touch that side, because that's a nice even colour. So we will move on. We will put those out the way. I've done the other one, that's all done. These can go on to the next stage when these go on to the next stage. So from putting a wood dye on, we will then go on to Danish oil, and then the Danish oil is the one that's going to hopefully keep the moisture at bay. So everything will get that, including the interior as well, which we need to do. So I can leave those there. That's going to go around the corner, and then I need to move on to the next job. What that is, I don't know yet because I've forgotten, but we'll head on aboard and we'll have a look and we'll see what we can do. Right, welcome aboard. So what I've done is I'm drying fitting this, but sort of semi-permanent. Everything is, I mean, that piece, the piece, oh, I'll show it here for what it's worth. So basically that's just fitted like that. Now the reason why I'm not going to completely finish this off is because the elephant in the room is we don't know whether that leaks. So I don't want to seal everything and get everything and make the hole smaller where it's less access when I need more access. So I can't really finish it off completely, but you know, looking at it and the way that they are fitted, I probably wouldn't need to. It's as strong as it'll ever be, and I prefer this method to the one that we had. But if you have a look in there, the reason why I'm hesitant is because I noticed, I know you're upside down, in fact I'll have to lengthen this up here. I might be able to get it and see whether I'm actually... Can you see there's a little hole there? Now, I don't know, there looks like there's like filler there, but this fiberglass here looks like an overlap to that. Now I don't know whether it leaks in that crack or not, and vice versa, I don't know whether it does there. So I think we're going to have to test this out, because I never got to see or speak to the previous owner, and I've no information on this guy. So so it's a case of we don't really know whether this was used or whether it was used and then was stopped being used because there was an issue. So before I go any further, I think I'm going to just make good that hole as you've just seen here. And when we get closer to completion, if there is a leak, then, oops, that's my mark there. Then at least that the water will go into the bilge and we can pump it out. It might even be a slow leak. We don't know. So whatever happens, we're going to have to leave it for now. But that's perfect. That's as strong as anything. And that over the top of there, that's great. So I'm going to call that finished for now, and I'm going to move on to the next project, which I think is going to be, as we're wanting to finish this whole area off, obviously we've got that pipe and that area at the back we've got to do, so I'm going to have a look at that. But also I have brought, if I go on, come with me, you'd be pleased to know I didn't throw everything out, because there are pieces of original pieces of beading and all sorts of stuff. There's one lot here that I wrapped, so we need to have a look at that lot. And these short pieces, I have a feeling that those go on the boxes that were restored, those, as to hold the cushions in place so they don't slip off. But I'm interested in this little bunch here, because I'm not so sure whether these lived on here, and looking at the length of that, it rather suggests that they did. So I think it's investigation time. I think we need to have a look at these, see if these are still useful or whether we can improve on a modern method. So that's going to be the next thing. So I shall just switch you off for now and then take that apart and have a look to see, because this is the area where, of course, you make the bed. So we need obviously a centre section. There must be one over there somewhere. Or is it a case of it's over on the top of there? I'm not so sure, but chances are that that piece will be warped, and I might make a fresh one, something looking like that with that finish, so it looks better. So I'm going to investigate that, I think, now, and we'll take it from there. So I'll see you shortly, and if I've got any answers for you, well, you'll be part of it, won't you? Right, I've pulled one of these, I've unwrapped these to start with, and I don't know, they fit. Can you get that? Is it wide enough there like that? They fit there. Sit properly. There you go. Can you see? They sit there perfectly. They are the right size. But one is that it's lower, whether the piece that sits inside there is slightly higher so it's flush with that. I don't know. Two, the screw holes are not in the same place. Now you could say, well, it's not that one, it could be the other one, but even if you use that one, you can see that they're not in the same place. So I'm thinking, I'm not so sure whether that actually is meant to go there. It definitely looks like it should, and not only that, it's got one of these sprung loaded ball bearings, so obviously something's meant to clip into either side, and they're both parallel, so something's meant to go in. And then these pieces here, I've got an angle on them. I'm guessing that maybe they were meant to go in there, because you can tell the way that the stain is the same. You know what I mean? The stain there that is like, it's obviously never seen the light of day, and I'm wondering whether that slots into that little groove there. Like so. I mean, it does slot in, because I've tried it, but in fact, if I push that in, there you go. But does that? I don't get it. Is there meant to be a draw unit, something that slides across there to hide that hole? Because obviously the stopcock is there, but or is it meant to go across like that? But that doesn't look right either. So I don't know. I don't know what they were for. I might have a look at my old photographs of it and see whether I recognise any of that there. But I'm starting to think I might have an easier idea and a more of a clinically cleaner idea, and that is to use something like that all the way down to the base, all the way around, with a little hatch there, and then cut it to about there, and then get another piece of that, so then you can cut it to shape, sit it on, and then it's flush with the top, and then you could store that somewhere up there, and I think that might be better, because okay, yes, you're going to lose maybe 15mm either side, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, not many people are going to be sitting at this end of the boat, really, and it's only 30mm in total that you're going to lose over here, and then it can be outplied and it'll all marry up, I think. So I think that might be a good idea, and like I say, we could put a little hatch down there. So I think, what do I think? I will go with that idea. I think that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, yes, I think I'm going to go with that idea, but I'm not going to do it on this episode. The next bit, I'm going to find something to go down there, and I need to find that pipe as well. So that's the next job. just when you think you're going to be doing another job, I think I've found what is meant to go there. It's these here, not them. These. Because, look, they're the right length. And look where those holes are there. They fit there. Now they obviously, and they're slightly raised, and that's flush with that. That is flush with that there. And they're to hold the cushions in. So there you go. That is meant to go there. So I think I've got to use them because they're lovely. They're not oak. I don't think they're oak. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand them down and I'm going to have a look at the colour and let's see where we go with it. So this is going to be my job now. I like doing jobs like this. So I'm going to do something that I like. That's it. I'm going to strip that and have a look, see what the colour's like. So stay tuned. It shouldn't take me too long this, because it's I need to put that away. They've got little brass screws in there, as you can see. There's only 3, and that'll take that fillet off there. So I can take these off. Oh, and there's 4 screws. Although some fiberglass over that screw. It's a shame not to use this again actually, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what the colour's like. I think with the sander it shouldn't take us long to suss out what this thing looks like. My only fear is that, you know, everything's oak and uniformed and I'm going to end up with some, but it's the original bits and I do quite like the idea of having some original. We can just chip away at that, just covering my head. Has that done it? There's always one. Right, I'll switch you off because you don't want to be sat watching me do that all the time. Come back when I'm halfway through. Top tip. So you know that that piece of wood had a crack in it at the end. Put a bit of masking tape over it and then get your Stanley knife or a sharp blade. Put your finger across where the crack is. You'll see an indentation. Run your blade across it so then it opens it up, and then put some glue on the tape and force the glue into the crack. Keep doing it until it bleeds through on the other side. You can see there's a drip there. That's where that's, probably you might be able to see it there. There you go. Keep pushing it through, and then when you're satisfied, wipe the tape clean, put it in your vise, sandwich it together and leave it. It'll be as solid as a rock. That piece has actually turned out all right. But as I've said to you, it is your decision. You make the decision, not me. That's what it looked like before I started. And that's what it looks like after. So down to you guys, please make that decision, and I would be very grateful. Okay, so I've sanded one of these down for you to have a look at, because I want you to make a decision. Thank you very much for making a decision on this. It is the ones that said don't put a strip on. They are going to stay as they are now, and they will get a clear oiling, so that feature will stay as it is. So I appreciate the few that took the liberty of saying yes, no, or I don't know. Thank you very much, much appreciated. I've got another task for you, and that is, do I use these? This is now stripped bare. It's got a little bit of a crack in there, but it doesn't go all the way through, so that is salvageable. I've completely sanded them down. That's the colour. Even that is different to that there. So do they blend? That's down to you. So that would go on there. If I were to use these, or if you did make the decision that I should use these, then I would still go with the ply aspect of it. I would use maybe a 2 or a 4mm ply and do the plying on there first, and then place that over the top like that. So that decision is yours, my friends. If you would tell me whether I should restore those and use them, or whether I should go with that other method of using the 15mm along the sides and then having a top plate to go over the top. That is your decision, and I'd much appreciate it if you would sort that out for me and give me an answer during the next, well, as soon as you see this, really. So all that leads me to say is thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Whoop. That'll teach me to have that dangling down. Please like, please subscribe. It does help. I know you've started doing that, but if you can get into the habit of doing that, that would be marvellous. And I will see you in the next one. So, see you later. Bye for now.